Are you looking for the best Creality 3D printers? In this video we will look at some of the 6 best printer on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Official Creality Ender 3 3D Printer. Creality Ender 3 turned out to be an unknown printer. After ordinary assembly, it allows you to print with very acceptable quality, without bothering too much with improvements. The advantages of the printer are that the assembly is straightforward, the resulting design is relatively stable. It includes everything you need in the kit, except for plastic. The Ender 3 can print ABS, PLA, TPU, PTG, and other polymers. Because of the open chassis, it's best to construct a hood for ABS printing. The built printer is straightforward to use. The design is typical of low-cost FDM printers, with spongy kinematics and a hollow body. Along the Z-axis, trapezoidal screws are inserted. The bottom structure houses all of the electricity. The machine has an omnivore 10 Malawian Quachas extruder with a Bowden feed, making printing soft polymers difficult. But in principle, such a feed should let you build a fast printing speed without sacrificing quality. In contrast to the newer and more costly Creality 3D CR10, where the control unit and screen come in separately, the tiny monitor of Ender 3 is fixed directly on the printer's base. The most straightforward display shows basic information such as the nozzle set and current temperatures, printing time, progress bar, and so on. The machine uses a standard rotary knob to regulate the bar. In conclusion, the printer has proven to be quite worthwhile in printing outputs, particularly for the price. The printed models were just as good as those made on the most costly printers. We were pleasantly pleased by the design's dependability and the quality of the printer parts. At number 2. Official Creality Ender 3v2 3D Printer. The Creality Ender 3v2 has long been a favorite among affordable 3D printers. Of course, it is not perfect, but at its price, it has an average working volume, it is easy to assemble and improve, and it produces high-quality printouts. The Ender 3v2 no longer has an angular metal body like the Ender 3. Here we have neat molded plastic panels everywhere, making the Ender 3v2 not as maintainable as its predecessors. Despite numerous minor changes, the Ender 3v2 is, in essence, very similar to the Ender 3. All have the same working volume of 8.7 by 8.7 by 9.8 inches and a single hot end. They also feature a Bowden extruder, offline work with microSD, and manual platform alignment print. You cannot distinguish these two printers by their characteristics on paper. The similarity goes for the print quality, which is pretty good indeed. We have been working with the Ender 3v2 most of the time. We have also used the standard Ender 3 Pro profile in Comgrow 4.6.1, which is almost flawless. Why did Creality decide to leave the filament hole next to the lead screw again? The crater itself is tiny, without a chamfer, which further exacerbates the problem. The machine was not very surprising in working with it. The printouts are invariably reasonable, definitely not worse than their predecessors. It is because of updated the filling, in particular the stepper drives. Creality is usually doing well with firmware updates for their most popular printers. And if you dig a little deeper on their website, you can find updates for the Ender 3v2 motherboard and even the LCD screen. The motherboard is compatible with Marlin 2.0. It means that you can continue to update the printer up to the new features and improvements as they become available. At number 3. Official Creality Ender 3 Pro 3D Printer. The Ender 3 Pro is a low-cost 3D printer. It is a terrific low-cost instrument for hobbies and crafts, and expert novices may even use it to some extent. There are several reasons to purchase it. The first argument is self-evident: it is inexpensive. The Ender 3 Pro also has features that you won't find in more costly 3D printers. For example, it features a large working volume of 8.7 by 8.7 by 9.8 inches as Ender 3 and Ender 3v2, a magnetic worktable, a power failure recovery mode, and a small filament channel that makes working with flexible materials simpler. However, there are certain disadvantages. The machine's magnetic substrate is fragile compared to the complex yet flexible metal substrate. It's magnetic with a perceptible slap and sticks everywhere except where it's needed. These issues fade away after cooling the table and detaching the print from it. The printer is the way to go if your money is low, you care about stated features and some general enhancements, and you don't want to fiddle with updates yourself. In terms of quality and use, we believe it is comparable to the Anycubic Mega S, a 3D printer that we also highly recommend. At number 4. Comgrow Official Creality Ender 5 Plus 3D Printer. Creality Ender 5 Plus can make large prints. The printer's primary selling point is the large 13.7 by 13.7 by 15.7 inches build volume. The manufacturer delivers the printer partially assembled. So, it takes approximately 30 minutes to complete the installation. To achieve the most significant print results, you need to square the extrusions properly while installing the printer. Plastic corner brackets square the top and bottom frames of the Ender 5 Plus. While this appears to be sufficient for the time being, we are considering adding some aluminum corner brackets in the future to increase the frame's rigidity. The ability to quickly enclose the printer is what we enjoy best about the Cube Ender 5 frame. You'll be able to print ABS or other high-temperature materials with ease after purchasing some plexiglass panels. The machine runs on the Creality 2.2 board, which will be obsolete in 2020. Most printers use TMC 2208 drivers that now have been updated to 32-bit. It isn't a significant deal if you're printing in a different room where noise isn't an issue. However, it cannot utilize the advantages of the new Marlin 2.0 firmware. The limited memory and limits imposed by the 8-bit CPU may limit the printer's capabilities. Another issue with this old board is that it leaves a salmon skin look on the prints. It's not terrible. However, a newer board and drivers might help solve the problem. Overall, the Ender 5 Plus is an excellent machine for anybody searching for a large format 3D printer. It boasts a large print volume, a strong frame, and high print quality even when printed on the stock. At number 5. Official Creality Ender 5 Pro 3D Printer. We're relieved that the board soldered drivers aren't the loud A4988 but rather the already quiet TMC 2208. Even though they are not the most contemporary, they come in standalone mode. It implies that you won't take advantage of all of their features. The heated table operates similarly to the Ender 3 Pro, using a 3mm aluminum sheet with a glued-on magnetic surface. A flexible substrate with an adhesive covering magnetizes from above. There is no auto-calibration for the table. Place a sheet of paper beneath the nozzle and manually move the carriage in the corners and the middle of the table, twisting the big easy adjustment knobs until we get the same pressure throughout the whole area. The machine uses an archaic feeder that is aluminum 8 Malawian quaches. Many manufacturers have migrated to geared feeders such as Titan or BMG and more recent options. 8 Malawian quaches works and accomplishes its goals. However, it has issues, such as adjusting printing with soft flex polymers and the feed gear's pressure to the counter roller. We calibrated the table, inserted Red Tiger 3D PLA into the printer, and produced a few standard tests. A little vase in spiral mode, an XYZ cube, a benchy boat, a low poly fox, and an XYZ cube. The models are conventional, but you can see how effectively the printer handles them right away. You set the speed at 30 mm per second on average for the outside outlines and 60 mm per second for everything else. The end outcome was rather good. The cube is even, and the edges do not bulge. It spreads out reasonably uniformly the layers, and there are no echo and minor size variances. At number 6. Creality CR10V3 3D Printer. The Creality CR10V3 is the 2020 successor to the extremely popular Creality CR10, first released in 2017. The Creality CR10V3 has the same significant printing volume as the original CR10, 13.8 by 13.8 by 15.7 inches, but enhanced frame design. Two metal rods that connect the top to the base now support the massive vertical frame. It creates a golden triangle, as Creality refers to it, making the overall frame substantially more stiff and solid. Now a Titan direct drive, the print head is another significant change. There are certain advantages to using a direct drive extruder. For example, it makes filament loading easier, filament retraction faster, flexible filament handling better, and overall extrusion better or more uniform. Of course, direct drives aren't superior to Bowden drives in every way, they have some drawbacks. Because of the motor's placement, the increased mass of the gantry might produce more excellent vibrations and backlash when printing, especially at higher speeds. The new print head also incorporates a dual cooling system. One fan cools the hot end while also cooling the filament from one of the vent ducts, while another fan cools the filament in its entirety. Another enhancement is the print bed, which is now made of special ceramic-coated glass. It can adhere to the print bed pretty well when you heat the filaments, so you don't need adhesive or tape. Once the prints have cooled, they will simply pop out on their own. It's worth noting, though, that this surface is readily destroyed when using sharp items like a spatula. Furthermore, the print nozzle has the potential to harm the surface, so be cautious when leveling your print bed.